Juliano, how close is the Earth to the worldwide planetary shift in consciousness, and what event or events do you see that could bring about a greater unity to the global crisis? Can we count on the intersection of dimensions to bring this about?
Well, we are close to a global consciousness. We are close to a global intervention. We are close to these many things. And the reason is because of the connectedness through the internet, through social media, that there are tools now that exist on this planet that can unite. And we see examples of that in the World Cup soccer match. Now that's uniting over a sports event. But there are tools in place. Now, what event, how close are we to using that for a spiritual intervention? And what would cause that what would cause that consciousness to shift? So the first part is that, yes, we're close, we have tools, but the second part is that if a negative event occurred that had global significance and affected everyone, and I'm referring specifically to an earth change event, or even a global, some sort of global catastrophe that could be man-made or even be due through war, then you would see such an immediate connectiveness, and there would be such a powerful spiritual opening. I understand that there seems to be so many blocks to spiritual interventions, and that we're in a position now where the old is still, old systems and old groups are still holding together, but many of them are falling apart. And there's disruption. And when there is a major world disruption, there's going to be more receptivity to this spiritual intervention. Now, is the intersection of the dimensions going to help this? The intersection of the dimensions at this point is primarily going to affect people who are spiritually prepared. The intersection of the dimensions is going to make you who are spiritually prepared stronger. And it's going to make you able to more directly apply the spiritual energy. It may not necessarily change those who are not spiritually minded, but it will change you and other people who are spiritually minded, and help to make you stronger and more influential. Next question, please.
This is the second part of Bob's question. Dear Juliano, in your latest lecture, you stated that the core service and energy that will become available in the transition from the end of 2022 and the intersection of the dimensions will be the propagation of Homo Omega. This is a new concept beyond the Groupofforty. So what recommendations do you have for us on accomplishing this to an already skeptical audience on climate change?
We are getting into the realm of anthropology, and I and am personally a student of galactic anthropology, which is the study of civilizations and cultures not only on the Earth but throughout the galaxy. And I would recommend the teaching and exploration of galactic anthropology as a basis for the teaching of Homo Omega. Because we are having, yes, many people who are resistant to these ideas, but there are also many starseeds that are awakening. And as I said in the earlier part of this lecture, when there is some type of global catastrophe, then people are going to be looking for new answers. Now, in galactic anthropology, we can talk about evolution. And so I am talking about the uniting of science and anthropology with the spiritual teachings of the Arcturians. Now, what a combination. People are tremendously interested in Neanderthal right now, and we see many articles and many discussions about DNA and the history of the Neanderthal, and there are discoveries all the time that they were burying their dead, that they were using fire. There was even information that there were ongoing battles with the Homo sapiens that may have lasted 50 to 100,000 years. I mean, does it sound familiar when you look at some of the battles that are going on now? So the teaching of Homo Omega is also rooted in Christian mysticism, and there are a famous philosopher named Teilhard de Chardin, a French philosopher and Jesuit priest, who his mystical teachings were a precursor, a pre-runner to these concepts of Homo Omega. He didn't use the term Homo Omega, but he was moving towards that ideal. So if there is a role, and I believe there is for the Groupofforty, it has to do with trying to integrate science and the discoveries of the history of evolution. Remember, this is not a mystical concept. That is, in a crisis, evolutionary change happens. That is not mystical. That is factual. If you study the evolutionary processes on the Earth, you'll find that the evolution has always occurred in a crisis of survival. And I found this in my travels throughout the galaxy on other planets. And so my recommendation would be to take the scientific perspective in the teachings